guys, 5 months later again. I think it's actually been 7 months at this point. Long time no see. For those of you guys that do want to get into the actual video without hearing me talk, I'll put a timestamp here of when the actual information starts, but for the 1% of you all that do care what's been going on and why I decided to film out of the blue, I'll give you a quick little rundown. I actually had to film a video for my business and beauty class for one of my class projects, and since my setup was already here, I was like, well, I might as well film a video. I just filmed a video for that class. Since it's already all set up, I have my makeup done. I mean, why not? I'm back at home. Back from Orlando, finished the college program. I have so many stories about it, so many things to talk about. I thought it would be most helpful, since applications are coming out again, to do a 5 things that I wish I knew about the Disney college program. Just because, as much as I loved it, there were a lot of things that really shocked me, and I wish I had known it going into the program. I feel like a lot of these things you don't really know or fully understand until you're actually in them, but regardless, I think it's important to kind of know what you're getting yourself into, because I know I didn't. A little bit of backstory: I was in Epcot Merchandise Park Arrival, which is at the front of the park, and I thought merchandise, I would be inside a store, stuff like that, which I was, but for the most part, I was actually selling strollers, because technically strollers are merchandise. For my entire college program, I was outside when it was raining, when it was 100 degrees, when it was freezing in January. I also did my program from January 10th until July 28th, so I think that's a pretty substantial period of time, and I did live in the provided housing, which is the Flamingo Crossings apartment village, which is really nice. That was specifically made for the college program students. I did live there for 6-7 months, whatever it was, and I had a great time. The first thing that I wish I knew about the college program was you do really need to budget. Obviously, this should be a no-brainer, but because you're making money and you're working so much, I think in your head you think that you'll be good in terms of all the expenses that you want to pay off, which that can be the case, but you do really need to plan accordingly. I know that you have to pay rent for your housing regardless of if you're in the provided housing or not, and rent is not super cheap, even if you live in a 2x2, which is what I did. It was pretty expensive, and you also have to pay utilities on top of that. You have to pay for groceries, gas if you have your car, so it's just a lot of expenses, and I think the main thing is I didn't really account how much rent takes out of your paycheck. So because of that, you do really need to plan out how you're going to spend your money. I know with me, I spent a lot of time in the parks, and it's so easy to buy all the merchandise, especially when you're working at Disney, but you do need to take into account that you don't really have as much money as you think you would, especially for the amount that you're working. This isn't even a point, but it should be pretty clear you do work a lot in the college program. I would assume you guys know that. I've never worked so much in my entire life. The most I worked was 50-something hours a week, but I know some people, especially people in Magic Kingdom, worked over 60 hours a week, which is crazy to me. I think sometimes people go in thinking it's not that crazy, but it's a lot. It's a lot for sure. And then my second point is it is very difficult to plan vacations. What I mean by that is you get 1 ADO per month that you work. So an ADO is basically you requesting to have the day off, whether it's to see family or if you just want to visit home, I don't know, whatever it may be. But let's say you work 7 months during the college program, you only get to request off 7 days. And when you request those days off, normally you're put on a wait list first, because there's other people that have requested the day off as well. So it's never guaranteed that you're actually going to get that day off. With that being said, because of the limited number of days that you can request off and the small amount that you actually can, it is very difficult to plan a vacation. I know when my family wanted to do a vacation, it was much easier for them to come down to Orlando and spend the days at the parks with me, so I could still work a couple of those days, just because it's nearly impossible to get more than 3 days off in a row. The next point that I wanted to make is that coworkers are pretty much your main friends. Granted, you can become friends with other people in the college program, but because you're spending so much time working, they're pretty much the main people that you see all the time. At least I know that was the case for me. I really wasn't meeting people outside of my work area and my apartment, just because the majority of your time is spent working. And because of that, you become really close with the people that you work with. You see them every day. I just think it's a good idea to get on your good side with your coworkers. I do think it's really beneficial for both you and them to become friends, because it's going to be pretty miserable if you don't talk to any of your coworkers. Those are kind of the people that you see all the time, and if you're not friends with any of them, you're probably not going to have a really fun time working. Next point that I have is people are going to be mean on vacation, which makes sense. Obviously, not everyone's going to be nice all the time, but I did assume that since people were going for a vacation, they're at Disney World, they were trying to have a good time, they obviously spent a lot of money to be there, so they would try to have a positive attitude and be very understanding. Not the case. Not the case at all, which I didn't really take into account. People are stressed out, they're hot, their Genie Plus isn't working on their phone. There are so many things that can go wrong during vacation, and usually they take it out on the people that they see first, which is probably going to be the people working, which is usually the college program people. Yes, there are definitely a lot of people that are really mean, really nasty, and I think the college program gave me really good experience dealing with situations like those, because obviously working for Disney, you have to stay positive and try to be as helpful as you can, even when people are being really, really mean towards you. You get your fair share of parents and stuff like that. So don't think it goes away just because people are on vacation. And then my second part of that point is that not everyone will like you. This goes for your leaders, your coordinators, your coworkers, whatever it may be. Even if you're in Disney, there's definitely going to be people that you don't get along with or you just don't click with, and that's okay. It's unrealistic in any workplace to think that you're going to get along with everyone. Just something to keep in mind. Not everyone is going to be your cup of tea and vice versa, and that's okay. Just vibe with the people you vibe with. Find people that you get along with really well, and I promise it's not going to be that big of a deal. And my final point is it is very difficult to find similar off days. If you want to go to the parks with your friends or your coworkers, it's really difficult to do that, because merchandise people and custodial, different roles have different hours. It really depends on the jobs that you get, and even people within the same jobs, like your coworkers, they usually will get different hours too. Very rarely will you get the same day off as your friend or your roommate or even your coworkers, unless you try to purposely trade your shifts around to get those same days off. It's really difficult to plan days like that. So it's unrealistic to think that every time that you have a free day off work, you're going to be able to go to the park with your friends, because for the most part, they're probably not going to have that day off too. Another thing to keep in mind is even within the place that I worked at, the schedules were very inconsistent. I would have a morning opening shift at 6 a.m. and then the next day I would have a closing shift, and the next day I would have a morning shift. I think it's different depending on the different role that you get, but I know at least for mine, they did not keep a consistent schedule. You kind of just had to get what you get. You could trade around if you wanted to, but it's unrealistic to think that you get the same days off or you get the same times for your shifts. I feel like I talked really fast. I don't know. Sorry, I'm not used to filming. It's been a hot minute. But those are 5 things I wish I knew before doing the college program. Once again, I had an amazing time. I would recommend it to pretty much anyone, as long as you know what you're getting yourself into, especially if you want to work for the company one day like I do. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Be sure to let me know if you have any questions or any video ideas down below, and I'll try to do them. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.